would you invest 1 crore for 1% of my company as well?
1 crore तो नहीं बनता है.
What was that trigger point you think that Shark Tank India has provided?
Because if you have the time to do other things, that means your core company is not doing well.
भाई को इतने love letters आ रहे हैं अभी.
Entrepreneurship at some point try करना चाहिए. But not everybody is cut out to be an entrepreneur.
Boss, you don't set the valuation, the market sets the valuation. Founders think जो number उनके मन में आया, that is their value.
फाउंडर कभी कभी बहक भी जाता है.
This is the third season of Shark Tank which is going on. And I think in the last 2 seasons we have seen a lot of brands do a lot of good work. But what has your experience been at the ground level? What is the cultural change that you are witnessing in the Indian startup ecosystem?
So I'll go first. It's a big change happening. You can see it. First season, I'll talk in a few different stages.
Yeah.
If you talk about people, right? People didn't expect that Shark Tank will be like such a big hit.
Yeah.
If you talk about the pitchers, they were reluctant to even pitch. कि क्या होता है हमें नहीं पता. If you talk about sharks, people were also reluctant to be sharks. But in third season, like there are so many people who want to be sharks. In fourth, in fact, it will be even more. So I think it just changed the way people are looking at Shark Tank as a concept. People are looking at entrepreneurship as a and to entrepreneurship as a whole. The ecosystem is developing, so everything is probably good. And if you look at the pictures, the way the time the show airs, their sales goes up like 8 to 10 times. So it's good for them, good for us, good for the country. So I don't think there is much negative about it.
Namita?
They're better prepared too. I feel like they've really studied season 1 and season 2, and when they come,
with the cost, especially the pie graphs and all that.
They can absolutely anticipate the questions, they rattle off their unit economics. So it's easier for us, right? Because then the basics get taken care of very quickly, and then we can deep dive into the real strategy and scale and those kind of questions. So I think the content in season 3 is way better because the pictures are sharper, the editing is sharper, the new sharks who give a very different perspective. Overall, a great season.
But in the beginning of the season 1, there was a lot of flack that was given to Shark Tank initially. But as the season progressed, there was a lot of positive sentiments that were going on. My dad was asking me, "Beta, do you pay GST and all that?" And that was the general sentiment coming from the family people as well. What is the trigger for that? Where did that change because of Shark Tank? And as you mentioned, season 3, the pitches are sharper. People know what they're talking about. And now looking at that, more and more people are starting up as well. So what was that trigger point do you think that Shark Tank India has provided?
I think Shark Tank India का एक चीज़ जो बोलेंगे, जो मुझे लगा है काफ़ी चीज़, तो जब भी किसी भी इंडस्ट्री को किसी भी चीज़ को देखते हैं ना, एक सर्टेन टाइम तक वो नीश रहती है जहाँ पे उसमें लिमिटेड लोग उसके बारे में बात करते हैं. तो जो वो नीश से मेन स्ट्रीम का जो ट्रांजिशन होता है ना, प्रॉब्ली उसको फ्यूल करने में शार्क टैंक ने काफ़ी हेल्प की. अब इट्स नो मोर ए नीश थिंग, इट्स एवरी हाउस होल्ड का कॉन्वर्सेशन मतलब. तो आई थिंक उस पर शार्क टैंक ने सबसे बड़ा रोल प्ले किया है.
I think Shark Tank has been, if you trace the journey over the last 3 years, the most important thing in my view is timing. Shark Tank came at a time in 2021 when the whole startup funding wave was at its peak.
Correct, yeah.
और इंडिया तो आप जानते ही हो, हर घर में धंधा चल रहा है, कोई मिठाई बेच रहा है, कोई ड्रेसेस बेच रहे हैं, तो एवरीबडी इज अ हसलर इन आवर कंट्री और करना भी पड़ता है पैसे कमाने के लिए. बट पीपल वर थिंकिंग भाई धंधा तो हम भी करते हैं, तो ये बच्चे कैसे 100 मिलियन की फंडिंग कर रहे हैं, 5 बिलियन की कंपनी बना रहे हैं, 10 बिलियन की कंपनी बना रहे हैं. एंड अलॉन्ग कम्स अ शो that in very simple terms from people who are like you and pictures who are very relatable to you explains all this. So I think that just suddenly people were like, it demystified it, so it took off. And I think over the next 2 years now in season 3, at least what I'm seeing is India's entrepreneurial aspirations have gone to the next level. जैसे हम सब बात कर रहे थे founders and pitches की, बस मतलब एक लड़का आया था, अभी पिच हुई भी परसों, a guy from a small town who was building an AI car. Maybe his beliefs are misplaced, but so much confidence कि आप दुनिया के इतनी बड़ी कंपनीज के अगेंस्ट चले जाओगे is unparalleled and unprecedented.
वो जो ओला उबर को भी कंपटीशन,
हाँ वो रोडवेज फ्रॉम बिहार. तो दिस कॉन्फिडेंस comes from belief, right? आप अगर हिस्ट्री देखो इंडिया की, we became the best engineers, best doctors in the world, then we became the best CEOs. Now in Silicon Valley, all the top CEOs are Indian.
Yeah.
Now the era is we'll become the top entrepreneurs in the world, and you can see that from the confidence these people are bringing
onto the tank. So I think that has been the big catalyst.
So I think this is the cultural shift that Shark Tank has provided, because our parents now also promote us ki tu
Yeah, I
kaam
would
kyun
say
kar raha hai?
this Shark Tank is solely responsible, but we were just one of these enablers. There are so many things which is happening. You know, even if you look at the celebration of Startup Day as a concept, which was not there earlier. So many things as such is happening.
Companies going public, startups going public. That's a big one.
Yeah. So I think the change was happening, and we just played our small role.
Which are the few sectors that you're very excited about in the season 3 compared to the last 2 seasons?
I think
there's a lot of
if you ask me,
diversified.
season 3
I think we played a big role, not a small role, but one of the roles. You know?
Yeah. So in season 3 there are a lot of diversified pitches यार. मतलब I was surprised, मुझे लगा कि यार same चीज होगी और boring हो जाएगा. But yes, looking at the type of pitches and entrepreneurs coming in, it was totally different. Not just D2C, but even technology, robotics, AI, everything was well covered this time, and outstanding innovation happening at very different parts of the country. It was good to see.
As Sharks, don't you feel that you're investing in so many companies? How do you manage that? Like, I think each of you have at least invested in 25, 30 companies.
No, Anupam has, I think, now 300.
On and off Shark Tank.
He started with 200. Now he must be at
He had a
300.
very high
इसका पता
base.
है, इसका economics बहुत सीधा साधा रहता है यार. If you've been doing it a long time, mostly 50, 60, 70% of your companies will fail. That's the whole point. If half to 2/3 of your company are not failing, that means you're not taking enough risk. That means your returns are not going to be good.
As an investor.
Of course, if you're an early stage startup investor, that's how the math works. So at any given time, even if you made 200 investments, active companies will be 60, 70, out of which, hopefully, if you've done a good job, half of them have gone on to Series A, B, C. They don't need you. Yeah? They already have big boards here. So there's only 20, 30 companies at any given time that need your help. Oh, हम weekend पे WhatsApp कर लेते हैं, ये कर लेते हैं, introduce to this one, introduce. Those are simple things.
और ये जो बात कर रहे हैं कि now we have a full team which is now getting the structuring has happened on the team's part. So when they come to us, before that half of their problems are already solved. And if you don't give, it's like I meet a pitcher once, who I've invested in probably once in 6 months. And that's enough for them to get. और अगर कोई काम होता है, so like them WhatsApp कर देते हैं. उनका mostly उनका काम होता है connect कराना to the right people.
They want networks.
Network चाहिए हमारे, और next क्या करना है phase of life में क्या करना चाहिए. So it's just that they feel that there is somebody who they can talk to. So I think it's good. It's also a side hustle for like most of us.
Got it. And as a founder, when things are going good for you, you feel that there's so much more that you can do. There are multiple opportunities other than the company that you're running. Has that ever happened with you that you feel that I have to do this also, I have to do this also?
मतलब
for example, if I'm running X company but I'm seeing opportunity in Y as well, I'm seeing an opportunity in Z as well, I want to do that as well. But
then your company is not doing well, because if you have the time to do other things, that means your core company is not doing well, because
and you scratch that itch by becoming an investor, no? That
you will not get depth and focus
that is why we
unless you do one thing and one thing alone.
Yeah. और अपने काम में जितना मतलब मैं तो सिंपल बिलीवर जितने पैसे हम अपने काम में बना सकते कहीं नहीं बना सकते.
True.
So it's best to focus on yours, and probably 5% of your time you can give to other things.
Shark Tank is something where talking to the founders or meeting them occasionally or giving them advice or a Zoom call is a weekend thing, right?
Yeah.
But weekdays and majority of our time is for our core businesses. Otherwise, we're not doing justice to our business.
True. Azhar, how has your experience being in the season 3? This is the first time you're coming on as a shark.
तो मेरा तो मैं बोलूँगा काफ़ी अच्छे साइड ही एक्सपीरियंस रहा है. और जैसे मैं स्टार्टअप इन्वेस्टमेंट्स को देखता हूँ, वही मतलब जैसे हमारे
भाई को इतने लव लेटर्स आ रहे हैं अभी. हम तो देख रहे थे पिछले सेशन में एकदम लाल गोल टमाटर की तरह.
ठीक है, तो मैं उस क्वेश्चन का आपसे
फिर से हो गया.
अरे बोलने तो दो.
तो जैसे अमन ने कहा ना कि हम अपने लाइफ का जो मतलब पैसा मेजर बनाएंगे वो शायद हम अपने बिजनेस से ही बनाएंगे. तो स्टार्टअप्स में इन्वेस्ट करने का, जैसे जब टैंक में मैं आया था शार्क टैंक में, उसमें एक बहुत बड़ा जो मेरा रीज़न इसको पार्टिसिपेट करने का था कि आपको इतनी वैरायटीज़ ऑफ चीज़ें देखने को मिलती है, तो आपका जो लर्निंग है ना वो बहुत ब्रॉड हो जाता है. जब हम अपना बिजनेस बिल्ड करते हैं ना तो हम बहुत नैरो रहते हैं, मतलब हम एक ही पर्टिकुलर सेक्टर पे काम करते हैं, तो वो विजन बहुत ही कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड होता है. बट लेकिन आप जब मल्टीपल फाउंडर्स से बात करते हो तो आपकी लर्निंग्स बहुत ज़्यादा वाइडन हो जाती है. तो मुझे जो सबसे अच्छा पार्ट लगा इसका कि मेरी लर्निंग्स मुझे लगता है काफ़ी ब्रॉड होती जा रही है.
Today there are a lot of 20-year-olds who are wanting to start up. Like in my circle, whatever I see.
How old are you?
I'm 24. So there are a lot of people around 20s who are starting their own businesses, and one common problem which I see in my circle is that there are not enough good people to hire. Everybody wants to either start up. Whoever I find, they are good, they are doing something of their own. So have you ever seen this problem with your invested portfolios or your own companies when you are not able to find the right talent in the Gen
Yeah, man,
Zs?
it's a big issue. I feel that it's a blessing and an issue both. That the world, the young guys are going towards entrepreneurship. It's good for them. It's good for the country. But for me, it's a big issue because I don't get the right, hiring the right talent is it's getting tougher and tougher. But it's in hindsight, if you look at positives are more than the negatives. So even if they are going for something big, it's good. Entrepreneurship teaches, like you are at 24, you are an entrepreneur. I think what you will learn and what you can learn from your business or your venture, from your success, and I hope not that from your failures, but that learning which you go through is, I think, is immense, man. At 24, people think about entrepreneurship and talking like that. About entrepreneurs and with entrepreneurs, I think it's a crazy time to be an entrepreneur.
I don't fully agree. I think it's got a flip side as well. मुझे लगता है कि हर एक को entrepreneurship at some point try करना चाहिए. But not everybody is cut out to be an entrepreneur. I think what we have seen in India in the last 8-10 years is a liquidity-driven cycle.
Correct.
Okay, the new guys who are 20 now have never seen scarcity of lack of capital. They have only grown up when there is abundance of capital available for anybody who wants to start up.
I agree with that. Yeah.
पिछले 2 साल से हम देख रहे हैं कि capital is becoming harder. That reality will start biting now. तो मुझे लग रहा है the next cycle that I think there's a permanent reset in terms of easy VC money being available. वो बहुत time लगेगा for that to happen again. So I think a lot of people will figure out that entrepreneurship is perhaps not for them, and there's no harm. They should all try, because either way you will win, even if you fail, right? But I don't think it will turn out that everybody will become an entrepreneur, and everybody should.
So you're saying it's a correction that is going on right now.
And it's going to be a deep and long correction.
इस पे मेरा जो व्यू है, मेरे अंडरस्टैंडिंग से, कोई भी बंदा जब अर्ली 20s में है तो मैं तो बोलूँगा वन शुड डेफिनेटली ट्राई टू बिल्ड समथिंग. आप अर्ली 20s में, पर्टिकुलरली आप अपने अर्ली 20s में हो, आपकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑलमोस्ट ज़ीरो होती है और आपके लाइफ के रिक्वायरमेंट्स भी ऑलमोस्ट ज़ीरो होते हैं. मतलब आपको पैसे की उतनी ज़रूरत नहीं होती है, आपके घर वाले आप पे उतने डिपेंडेंट नहीं होते हैं, आपके पास फैमिलीज, ओवरऑल आपकी लाइफ की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज़ कम होती है. और ये हार्ड ट्रूथ है कि विद ईच पासिंग ईयर ऑफ योर लाइफ आपकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज़ बढ़ते जाएगी. तो जब आप यंग एज में हो तो यू शुड ट्राई, वेदर यू सक्सीड और नॉट, आप सक्सेसफुल होगे कि नहीं होगे, आप एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के लिए बने हो कि नहीं, इन एनी केस यू विल लर्न. जैसे अनुपम सर ने बोला, यू विल लर्न, वो तो हार्ड ट्रूथ है, मतलब वो होगा ही होगा. सक्सेसफुल हुए तो आपका बिजनेस भी हुआ और आपकी लर्निंग भी हुई. आप फेल हुए तो आपके पास लर्निंग होगी, बट ये लाइफ के लिए बहुत अच्छी लर्निंग होगी, मेरा मानना है. तो अर्ली 20s में अगर आप हो तो यू शुड डेफिनेटली ट्राई, मतलब बिना सोचे हुए.
एक प्रॉब्लम अपस्किलिंग की भी है ना, मतलब बहुत सारे लोग बनना चाहते हैं फाउंडर्स, बट इतने लोग आप इंटरव्यू लेते हो एंड यू नो रिमूव अ लॉट ऑफ देम. सो अब एक स्किल गैप तो है, उसका क्या है? लाइक ठीक है, फाउंडर्स एंड एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप इज वन थिंग, बट यू आल्सो नीड पीपल टू वर्क टू फुलफिल दोस ड्रीम एज वेल.
बाहर है यार, बाहर बहुत लोग बाहर, इंडिया के बाहर से वापस आ रहे हैं इंडिया आजकल. तो देयर इज lot of reverse, what do you call it? Reverse brain drain. Exactly.
And a lot of times, like, Aman and Anupam just said, people who failed as entrepreneurs want to rejoin the workforce, and sometimes they are the best people to have on board because they come with the right soft skills in addition to a core competency. So I think we've really not had that tough of a time getting people. Yeah, there are locational biases. Like I shifted 250 people from Pune to Bombay because getting good brand managers in pharma, I was having a very tough time having them move to Pune. So you may have some of those challenges, but I think India, given the population dividend, has good talent.
I think raw material है, लेकिन 2 जगह बड़ी प्रॉब्लम मुझे लगती है, right? Hard skills छोड़ देते हैं, those can be taught.
ठीक है, correct, I agree.
But the softer side, there are 2 major issues that I struggle with. One is communication. तो हमारे यहाँ बहुत सी प्रॉब्लम्स होती है कम्युनिकेशन, बिकॉज रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन इन इंडिया लाइज विद द लिसनर, नॉट विद द स्पीकर. आप समझ रहे मेरी बात? यूएस में या वेस्ट में अगर कोई किसको कुछ समझाता है और ऑडियंस समझती नहीं है तो वो कहते हैं वी डिडंट अंडरस्टैंड, एंड द स्पीकर फील्स बैड दैट दे वर नॉट एबल टू एक्सप्लेन. दे से ओके, लेट मी ट्राई. इंडिया में द ऑडियंस फील्स बैड दैट दे डिडंट अंडरस्टैंड, सो दे नेवर आस्क यू अगेन ओनली व्हाट डिड यू मीन. राइट
Yeah, बचपन से ही सिखाते हैं.
तो वो बड़ी प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट कर देती है बिकॉज देयर इज ऑलवेज मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग्स राइट एंड द अदर एरिया दैट आई सी अ बिग प्रॉब्लम इज रूट कॉज लेवल प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग. तो हम ऊपर से जुगाड़ करके बैंडेड सॉल्यूशंस बहुत लगा देते हैं, लेकिन अंदर से जो रूट कॉज सॉल्यूशनिंग आती है ना, जो लॉन्ग टर्म तक सॉल्यूशन टिका रहता है, वो अप्रोच हमारे प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग में अभी तक पूरी तरह से नहीं.
तो कॉज क्या है?
Cause is I think it's somewhat cultural because we've always been जुगाड़ूस. तो जुगाड़ तो ये है कि कैसे भी अभी काम चला लो, right? Let's get from point A to point B. We are not thinking very long term because we've not had that luxury.
Yeah.
I think that will change with time. It will take a generation, but it will happen.
Anyone can answer. Any two people can answer this. All right. One book that you suggest every entrepreneur should consume.
I think every want to be entrepreneur should read 0 to 1 for sure.
Peter Thiel.
Yeah, it's a thin book, easy read, and basic fundas cross करने.
Got it. Go to advice for first time entrepreneur seeking funding.
Be real.
Be authentic.
Know your numbers.
Differentiate.
Differentiate. One Shark Tank moment that makes you laugh every time.
Goal and Gary ना.
Cool and Gary Nabi.
Yeah. I
तो easy.
Nothing can beat
अभी इस
that.
बार भी कुछ आया था एक नेवल करके.
Nabi oil.
Nabi oil.
Oh,
उस पे भी
yeah.
we all like we remembered the first year and then
And
we
then
started
Anupam made it very interesting.
laughing. Yeah.
When somebody says belly button, we all crack up.
Yeah. It's
Three
just-
entrepreneurs you admire outside of Shark Tank.
Outside of Shark Tank, 3 entrepreneurs. Mukesh Ambani. These days, I have huge respect for the man.
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos would be one of my names.
Yeah.
And
And
Elon Musk probably.
yeah, boss. I mean, वो कैसे करता है? वो every day he's lighting up another
Yeah, but
company.
he's being one.
Top quality that you see in a founder while investing in them.
Energy.
Hunger,
Energy.
hunger, भूख.
Humility.
कितना बड़ा बनाना है? क्या?
Hustle and humility both.
HHH. Hunger, humility, hustle. Ooh.
Second last question. What's the biggest myth you want to debunk about the Indian startup ecosystem?
That there is free money available.
Yeah.
There is no free money, bro. It's the free.
That
the
if you
days,
don't have profit, it's okay.
the days of free lunch are over.
Yep.
I'll tell you the biggest myth though is that founder that you set the valuation. Boss, you don't set the valuation, the market sets the valuation. Founders think जो number उनके मन में आया, that is their valuation.
Yeah.
Final is number one reason that startups fail.
There is no product market fit. I think that's the fundamental reason.
PMF.
जो हम प्रोडक्ट बना रहे हैं उसकी कोई रिक्वायरमेंट ही नहीं है. It's not मतलब क्या कहते हैं मतलब entrepreneur मेहनत नहीं कर रहा है या फिर चीज़ें वर्कआउट नहीं कर रही है, उसको चीज़ें समझ नहीं आ रही. It's more like कि आपने जो बनाया उसके साथ रिक्वायरमेंट ही नहीं है. मैं बोल रहा हूँ
Market.
मार्केट नहीं है उस प्रोडक्ट
Very
का.
clear.
मेरे को और एक लगता है फाउंडर कभी कभी बहक भी जाता है. कभी कभी जब क्या होता है ना, जब उसके पास फंडिंग आ जाती है या थोड़ा अच्छा करने लगता है तो वो भूल जाता है कि you have to stay
कहाँ से आया वो?
grounded and not leave the customers behind. So sometimes
सर पे चढ़ जाता है.
सर पे चढ़ जाता है.
I think too much capital too soon, which is what Aman is saying, right? It screws up the DNA as well. और एक और चीज़ मैंने काफ़ी देखी है ना, a lot of the companies in my portfolio is because of founder chemistry.
Failure.
वो मतलब because वो फैड चला था ना स्टार्टअप का, तो वो किसको पकड़ लेते थे 6-8 महीने जानते थे को फाउंडर, चलो पैसे रेज कर लिए, but then that doesn't sustain.
And the biggest reason we not discuss is governance. Haven't you seen enough companies with their governance issues, fake bills, fake sales, all of that, and then that can, the day that integrity is lost and you have governance issues, you're finished. You could have the best of everything, but if that's missing, you can't build anything on a weak foundation.
तेरे को 4 अलग-अलग वो भी मिल गए.
अब बस हो गया.
Done.
हाँ.
All right.
Yeah, you were 24, you learned
बस
everything
करें.
about how to build your business, start a company, raise capital.
इतना देखो सिखाया, पैसे थे हमारे को.
Exactly.
पैसे थे सिखाने के.
इतना free
मैं
ज्ञान.
आपको डिस्काउंट दे
Equity
दूंगा.
नहीं,
वैल्यूएशन में डिस्काउंट दे दूंगा.
Equity भेज दियो.
एडवाइजरी इक्विटी दे
चलो,
दूंगा.
lovely.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.